Hethe, so I got your video, and it took me a Sunday to be able to look at it. And I want to talk. I want to have a meeting with you because I think that you are experiencing a normal sort of counter issue. That's okay, Scott. No problem. Contrary issue when it comes to this presentation, and there's a disconnect. I don't know exactly what it is, but I want to get to the core of it because you have a disconnect between being able to express yourself to me and to let yourself be there with other people. So there's actually two separate disconnects because one of them is getting accustomed to you in the camera, which is just you flying solo, versus actually talking to people. And the other one is the difference between getting comfortable with yourself doing your stuff with me and you doing your stuff in front of people you don't know. And I'm going to throw in another layer on top of that. You really want this to work. Because you really want this to work, excuse me, we all do. We all want our stuff to work. So that's not that's not the issue that is a unique issue only to you, although of course to you because you are inside of you and your own stuff. Of course you feel that stuff and you are internalizing this. When we can speak about this, we will talk more in depth, but for now, I want you to remember that needing and wanting to be really good at it always has two sides to it. One is that you rise to the occasion of doing it because you have accepted some kind of responsibility. Artists, performers, any type of person who creates some esoteric concept sets a deadline and then has to show up for that deadline. You know all about that. That's with business, that's with life in general. What is it? Who said it? 90% of life is just showing up, right? So, setting a deadline, which in this case is a client call, means you have to show up. That gives you the opportunity to rise to that occasion. The downside is that because you want something to work so much, you will put an enormous amount of pressure on you to be better than your hypercritical inner sensor actually is allowing you to be. And that makes you um, really, really focus in tight on every detail of how bad you are doing, and the sort of shame spiral of that is running in the background. For some people, it's less than others. I monitor myself all the time that way. I am very critical of myself, but I have come to understand a few things. One, I give myself permission to be as good as I am at that moment. Two, I allow myself the understanding that at any given moment I can stop and take a sip of, in this case, it's coffee or water or anything, and just let myself calm my pace down. I also have the other presentational opportunities of giving myself the time to think, being honest about where was I, writing things down if I need to, because that's a prep type of thing, and all of those. Now, here's the other thing that I want to let you know. Everybody, everybody everybody is more full of shit than you actually think they are. They all are actually looking for help, but they all are actually looking for a way to be in contact as a, sort of empathetic human with that other person. When you spend time being talked at by someone who is some guru or whatever, you feel less than. You don't feel connected to them. You feel actually like they are up there and you are not. In your role in this thing, your entire mission is to find out what they feel, what they are struggling with, and how you, and in this case, your collaborator, employer, this person who this mystic visionary, I don't know, channeler, how this channeler can help them. You do not share the how of it. You are trying to figure out what their pain points are. And the way to do that is to be empathetic and to look at them from a perspective which I have expressed before, and I'm going to say to you right now. You are talking to someone who already gets where you're coming from. They just don't know it yet. You're not trying to convince anybody of anything. You're already in the good stuff of the discussion. Treat them like a friend who has a problem that you want to not solve, you just want to honestly allow them to be disarmed and be comfortable explaining things to you. The way to do that, the next step here, is to do what improvisation comedians, improv troops, there is a method or there is a simple technique. It's referred to as yes and. Yes, comma, and, dot, dot, dot. Everything that someone feeds you is a yes and then you can discuss things with them. That way you're always rolling with what they give you. Now, you don't have to say yes and all the time, but you want to be thinking from that perspective of, right, you're right, and what's more, there's this other thing. And that seems to be part of a bigger thing. So I want to ask you another question. Yes, and doesn't it make sense that you're not the only person lost in this stuff? Yes. And so many others are trying to figure that stuff out too. You're not alone. All of these other clients that my friend is assisting, 75% of them experience that same exact thing, along with plenty of others. All of it is about that. These are just a few thoughts. I'm going to keep this under 10 minutes. And I want to speak with you when you can, if you feel that this needs to be fleshed out more. If not, and this did what it needed to do, then fantastic. Breathe. Let it out. Let's speak soon.